Why do you think it is in this election season that
Why do you
voters...
think it is? I always take your question.
It's a good one. I got two good ones.
On the left, Fox correspondent Peter Doocy. On the right, President Biden departing the White House for a speech in Illinois.
Why do you think it is that people should be more concerned about abortion access than your age?
I don't think it's a comparable comparison.
Why do you think it is that you're trailing Trump in all these swing state polls?
Because you don't read the polls. I'll forgive. There are 10 polls. 8 of them I'm beating him in those states. 8 of them. You guys only do 2. CNN and New York Times. Check it out. Check it out. We'll get you a copy of all those polls. Okay?
Good for President Biden to mix it up with an adversarial reporter like Peter Doocy. It shows Biden has a certain feistiness, energy, and confidence that a lot of Americans expect in a leader. However, it's not clear what 8 polls President Biden was talking about. As you can see from the Real Clear Politics list going back to October 10th, Donald Trump has an average lead of 1.1%. And if you look at the last 10 polls, Donald Trump is ahead in 5, President Biden is ahead in 2, and in 3 polls, they are tied. If President Biden is twisting reality to fit his campaign narrative, well, that happens with nearly every political candidate. But in this instance, the question from Doocy, while a bit obnoxious, was at least grounded in reality. And that often isn't the case with Doocy. More on him in a moment. First, President Biden went to Belvidere, Illinois on this day for the reopening of an automotive plant. And during his speech, President Biden had one of the better off-the-cuff moments we've seen from him all year. Watch.
A fair shot and a fair wage. That's not too much to ask. You okay? I want the press to know that wasn't me.
Yes, the president made fun of himself there, pretending like he didn't know where he was going. Brilliant. And that kind of self-deprecating humor and quick wit will reassure a lot of Democrats who are looking for evidence the president is not in cognitive decline. On this day, President Biden was sharp, compelling, and humorous. Here he is displaying a compelling sense of comedic timing while referring to Donald Trump.
Let's think about this. When my predecessor, the distinguished, anyway. When my predecessor was in office, 6 factories closed across the country. Tens of thousands of auto jobs were lost nationwide. And on top of that, he was willing to cede the future of electric vehicles to China. He said if America invested in electric vehicles, it would drive down wages. It would destroy jobs. It would spell the end of the American automobile industry. Well, like almost everything else he said, he's wrong. And you have proved him wrong. Instead of lower wages, you want record gains. Instead of fewer jobs, you want a commitment for thousands of more jobs. Instead of less involvement and investment, you encourage American automakers to invest $40 billion in American auto industry beginning now. $40 billion. Yes. And then we're going to shut down. Remember my other guy? Yeah. And here's the difference. When you're in the middle of a fight, I stood and others stood with you shoulder to shoulder on that picket line. Yeah. My predecessor went to a non-union shop and attacked you.
That was strong. Now, to be clear, the president was mostly reading off of a teleprompter. His words were on a glass screen on either side of him, just outside of the view of the cameras. However, even when you are reading off of a prompter, if you're not sharp or not with it, mistakes and errors will happen. Donald Trump the other night was doing a speech on prompter and delivered a whopper while speaking about rival foreign leaders.
The press hates when I say they're smart. He said they were smart. Well, what am I supposed to say? They're stupid people? Kim Jong-un leads 1.4 billion people, and there's no doubt about who the boss is.
Huh? Kim Jong-un is the leader of North Korea with a population of about 26 million. Xi Jinping is the president of China with a population of 1.4 billion people. So given the Trump gaffe, maybe it's not Joe Biden who is losing his mind? Anyway, let's get back to the Biden relationship with Fox correspondent Peter Doocy. President Biden seems to enjoy the sparring, despite Doocy's often loaded and misleading questions. President Biden has welcomed Doocy's efforts since early in his administration.
Wait. I know he always asks me tough questions, and he always has an edge to them, but I like him anyway. So go ahead and ask the question.
Do you think within 3 weeks or so we'll be at the point where there are 1 million vaccines per day? But it seems like...
No, I think we'll get there before that. I said, I misspoke. I hope we'll be able to increase as we go on till we get to the 1.5 million a day. That's my hope.
And then the follow-up to that would be, now that you're president and you're saying there's nothing we can do to change the trajectory of the pandemic in the next several months, what happened to 2 months ago when you were talking declaratively about I am going to shut down the virus?
Well, I'm going to shut down the virus, but I never said I'd do it in 2 months. I said it took a long time to get here. It's going to take a long time to beat it. And so we have millions of people out there who have the virus.
Earlier in my career, I had the privilege of covering the White House from the press briefing room for 2 different broadcast news organizations. And I have to confess that it is personally and professionally refreshing to see a president of the United States talk to reporters, face tough and adversarial questions, and not freak out or spaz out at reporters. Unfortunately, insults and abrasiveness became the norms during the Trump administration.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Hear
what
me?
did you want?
Did you hear me?
Yes,
Ask
sir.
him a question.
I will, but
I've given you a long answer. Ask this gentleman a question. Don't be rude.
What do you say to Americans who are watching you right now who are scared?
I say that you're a terrible reporter. That's what I say. Don't talk to me that way. You're just a lightweight. Don't talk to me that way. I'm the president of the United States. Don't ever talk to the president that way. It says.
So do you acknowledge that you didn't think?
Keep your voice down, please.
Spread?
Keep your voice down. She's shocked that I picked her.
No.
She's like in a state of shock.
I'm not thinking, Mr.
That's
President.
okay. I know you're not thinking. You never do.
I'm sorry?
It is important for the press to hold a president accountable. It's also important for the president to respect the Constitution and the First Amendment freedoms of the press. That means you don't lash out or wage war on the press or the media when you get a question you don't like. There's also a strategic and political component to all of this as well. When President Biden is courteous and polite to Peter Doocy, even if Doocy has asked a loaded or leading question, it increases the chances that Doocy and Fox will be objective and fair in their reporting about Joe Biden. It might also take a Fox News story that might be 80% negative, 20% positive about President Biden, make it 75-25 or 65-35. That is a victory for a White House dealing with an adversarial news organization or even confronting a negative storyline. And by the way, when you are the president of the United States or anybody else, and you are calm and professional and firm, you win over people who are not sure whether to believe you or to believe the people who are taking shots at you.
Why do you think it is in this election season that
Why do you
voters...
think it is always take your question?
It's a good one. I got 2 good ones.
Why do you think it is? I always take your questions, said the president. The answer should be clear. Joe Biden is smarter and more strategic than many Americans understand. And that requires some deft and skillful cognitive abilities. Can Joe Biden leverage that and turn around his poll numbers? Well, on this day at least, the president gave Democrats reasons to be confident. By the way, in election after election, abortion rights has been winning, and that's giving conservatives heartburn.
We are 2 years after the Dobbs decision, and the Republicans have no idea how to message it. And 2 years after the Dobbs decision, they're still getting outraised by Democrats in every major election and every major issue.
Check out that video at the link below. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.